Good afternoon. This is AM, Dreamingstitcher here to bring you an update. It's been quite some time since I came online to talk to you about my cross-stitching. Nearly 11 weeks since my last video of any kind, and that one I did not number as a flosstube video because it was more of a personal expression of the way I was feeling about the loss of the last of my parents, and sharing some of the things that I had stitched for both my mother and my father over the years. And I wanted you to see those things. Well, not necessarily you, I wanted to share those things. And I know that one of the things I showed was some shells that I'd stitched for my father, and I kept thinking there were 3. I found a note today, yes, there had been a third one, a scallop shell. I don't know what happened to that. Anyway, not real important right now. But I haven't brought you any updates on the things that had been part of my regular flosstube videos since the third Sunday in July. So I'm kind of past overdue. I've been very, very busy. I can't say that I've done a lot of stitching, but I do have a finish for you. I have a couple of new starts. I have some minimal progress on a couple of the things that I showed you in the past. And I have a question that I think I already know the answer to, but I'll put it out there for you anyway, which is, do I have a problem? It's the kind of a problem that maybe stitchers can relate to. I don't know. But as I said, I've been very busy. Work has been tremendously busy. I've been put into a new position at work, and I don't want you to have to sit there looking at nothing. So while I talk to you about a couple of things, I'm gonna hold up one of my stitching so that you can have a look. Anyway, this is one that I've just added some back stitch to since the last time I showed it to you. Not a whole lot. Anyway, at work I've been put into a new position, and it's very different from what I used to do, and it was not a voluntary transfer, but it was necessary to keep my job that I do it. And to my employer, it's pretty much all the same thing. I like to deal in analogies a lot. So the analogy I can offer you is that it's as if my employment involved working in the field of aquatics, as in swimmers and divers and such. And I spent most of my career, let's say, in the pool, specializing in breaststroke. By the way, I'm not a good swimmer, but let's just pretend that that's what it was. And my employer finds that they have no need any longer. They don't have enough money to go around. They can't afford to keep breaststroke swimmers on the team. So they've given me sort of a lateral transfer over to being a high diver, or maybe a synchronized swimmer, or something like that. I mean, they're all in the pool, right? If you can do one, you can do them all, right? That's what my employer seems to think. I mean, on paper, I'm supposed to be able to do what they've asked me to do, and it's not that I'm not capable of doing most of the aspects of the job. It's just that there are certain skill sets involved that I don't have. And I've alluded before to some of my personality quirks, and that has a lot to do with it. But work has been very hard, and I've been trying to get better at it, and it's involved a lot of long nights, not uncommonly 2 or 3 hours of overtime every night. They don't pay you for that, by the way. It's not the kind of overtime that has compensation with it. It's just you stay as long as you need to get done what needs to get done, and if it gets too close to dark, then I have to come home and do chores, so I can't stay any later, otherwise I would. Anyway, work's been very busy. Having lost my parent, I have also been very, very busy, because there's all of the estate to take care of, all of the business associated with that, all of the cleaning up of the house, and not much of that has been happening recently because of work taking up more and more of my time, but that has kept me very busy. When I do get home, I'm pretty tired when I get here, and I only have 2 or 3 hours before bedtime at most. And you would think maybe I could use that for stitching, but that hasn't been happening either. This is a picture of what his eyes on the sparrow should look like. Yes, another change of subject so that you have something to look at while I'm talking to you. And I have done a little bit of minimal progress on that one too. I have done just a little bit up in this corner, and I've told you before I've done color changes and things. I'll tell you what I've added to it in a moment. So I get home and I don't stitch, partly because I was diagnosed this past summer, even before my parent died, with depression, and the doctor offered medication. I don't like to add more medications to my life. I'm already on some that are permanent. And so I thought I would seek therapy instead, and that was absolutely worthless, which I may talk to you about. We'll see. On this piece, I finished out. This flower was only partly done the last time you saw it. And this large motif, I had the two big flowers and a little bit of the green. And now I have all the little flowers except for their centers, and some of them, and the rest of the green and the start of the basket and the other big flower. So there we have his eyes on the sparrow. Not that excited about working with linen. So I get home, and because of the depression, I sit there and don't do anything. If any of you are experienced with that, you probably understand what that's like. It's not that the mind isn't willing, but I just don't move. I don't move. And as I said, that was even before parent passed, so things haven't improved any. So those were the two pieces on which I had a little bit of minimal work. Because I haven't been doing a lot of stitching, the other things I have to show you, I do have a finish. I do have a couple of new starts. But I want to show you some of the other things I was going to talk about first, because this is where the problem comes in. I've told you before, or at least alluded to the fact that I have some issues with impulse control. Those may be related to one of those medications that I'm on. It's for a sleep disorder, and I had read that about 7% of people on the medication go on to develop an impulse disorder, which is more than expected. So there's definitely some kind of connection there. In my case, it's compulsive spending, and I have hoarding tendencies, but I've told you that before. So you can see I've done just a tiny bit of stitching on some of those pieces, and I will show you the others, I promise. This is pretty rambly, but I want to show you some of what I've kitted up in the space of time that I did those, and the few small things. I'm sort of holding off the small things for you to see so that you have some reason to sit through the video, but let me show you some of what I've kitted and related stuff. I'm going to pause just briefly. Hang on. So, since I saw you last, and partially over the summer before my last video, I was acquiring a lot of floss that I told you about, and I showed you that I had bags and bags, there's going to be crackling, of floss that was to go with various designs. I've also picked up some fabric, and this very large piece of 18 count, it's 59 inches by 36 inches, may be used for one of them. Otherwise, I did have a thrift store find that I think is also 18 count that may work for one of them. If not one, then perhaps the other. This is a little dirty, and I know you like sometimes to see other stuff people find at thrift stores. This was from over the summer. I got this fabric that says it's suitable for table linens, bread covers, placemats, napkins, table runners, finger towels, hand towels, tablecloths, machine wash, cool, fluff dry, whatever. There's a big chunk of that, and then a little piece of Charles Craft. Got those at the same time as this largish piece of 18 count. I'm not sure that it's large enough, and it has some stains. So if that's not big enough, the other will be. Again, this is including the summer, but so what does that go with? Well, the one with the most floss that big piece is for. Here's the floss list for it. Is on an 18 count, it'll only be 31.9 inches wide by 26.7 inches long. So add some margin to that, and you're talking about roughly a yard. And what it looks like is this. It's a scarlet quince pattern I mentioned. Lady with unicorn sense of taste. That's a huge project. That's 575 stitches wide by 481 stitches long. I am about 3 colors short still. I'm getting there. The other two that I kitted up at the same time, the one that I'm least interested in doing, but I think it has all its colors now. No, it's still missing a color too. Is the smallest, and I don't have a piece of fabric for it yet, but it's this John James Audubon brown pelican piece. It's 226 stitches wide by 332 long, so significantly smaller than the first one, significantly fewer pages, a lot less to worry about with that. But the one I really most want to do, and here's floss list on it, is the one that these flosses are for. And that is this guy right here. Oryx, horse, and deer from Lascaux Caves. I can't speak French. I don't know if it's actually pronounced that way. But I love them. That is 339 by 222. So it's 3 very large pieces that I have kitted up that involve an enormous amount of time. 32 inches wide of 18 count. Or long, I guess that was the length. And the heartstring one I was showing you, that I had a tiny little corner up here, including a little bit of the basket. All the rest of that to do. Do I have a problem? In all the weeks since I've seen you, I'll show you the other small finishes, but I've kitted those up. That's not all. Hang on again for a moment. I had already showed you in the past that I had this unicorn kit. I want to do, yes, lots of glare, and this that I got at the same time. And of course they're kits, and they're up and they're ready to go. I had also showed you at the beginning of the year some things that I planned to do, possibly this year. I don't think they're going to get done this year. But recently I bought, I think I'm jiggling the computer. I bought a bolt of fabric, and I've been cutting it up. So I have just plain white Aida for these circles of the sea. I suppose some of you might get really creative and do some kind of fancy blue. I'm doing these circular, not the oval ones. Here we go. These guys. Might do some kind of sea-like fabric to put them on. I'm content with the white Aida cloth, thank you. But I did put some in there, a couple of pieces for the two of them. I also cut a piece for this full coverage. Yeah, it's upside down chart that I showed you. So I have the fabric ready to go for that. I cut a piece for the garden piece I showed you that I want to do, which is this one here. So there's fabric with that. I didn't cut it. I bought one that's 16 count that will fit it. I got some kits. Let me show you my kits. One of them, hang on a moment. One of them I opened and started looking at the chart and everything for. It would be my first Riolis kit. I purchased this last year. I love koi and things. So I was just examining the chart to see how difficult it might be to start it. And this will be the first time I've worked with these kind of fuzzy Riolis threads. I have a number of Riolis kits, but this will be my first one on that, so I opened that up with the thought I would start it soon. I went online and bought some. One of the new starts I have to show you is something I bought. One of the things I bought online makes me think of my yard bunnies, and I keep getting tempted to start it every time I look out at my yard bunnies, even though this is a European hare. And the others are really, really old. very, very old, but I thought they were charming. There's this one. And this one. And a third one that was open when I purchased it, so I had to start sorting the threads to be sure everything was intact in the package. And that is this one. So 3 beautiful little carousel horses. Apparently they make a lion too, but I wasn't going to pay for the lion. It was, these 3 ran from a low of about $6 before any shipping. Some of them were free shipping, so I don't remember, up to about $13. And the lion was $30. I couldn't see that. But I do have a problem with them because of their age. Do you see that huge nasty rust mark from the needle? I've got to figure out what to do about that. I don't know if it'll show up in the stitched area or not, but it's awfully close to it. So I'll have to work on that. So those 3 huge Scarlet Quince patterns I showed you, all of these eBay patterns, 3 always came from Hirschner's last year. Do I have a problem? Let me show you a little more. In the summer, I went to it was very end of the summer, less than a week before my parent passed. I had to make an annual trip up to the big city, I guess you could say, and to my not-so-local needle workshop that's about 80 miles away. And I came back with several patterns. Among them, this one that I thought was stunning. And so I ended up ordering some fabric from Joann's. One moment. Fabric from Joann's. I did not know it was going to be MCG. I hear bad things about their linen, but these 3 patterns call for linen, so I thought I would try this. It is not the shade that theirs are stitched on, but I thought it would work. Those obviously will take some time to do. Also, while purchasing those, there was a kit that I've had for a very long time that I purchased on a trip with friends to northern Arizona years ago, and we went to the Navajo reservation briefly and a couple of the little trading posts they have there, at one of which I purchased a beautiful little silver pin of a horned toad that the burglar stole from me a few years ago. I'll never lay eyes on it again. But I also got this at one of the trading posts, and they had so many designs that I liked that I had a difficult time choosing, but this certainly was my favorite. And I have looked since for these NP designs and been sad that I couldn't really readily find them. And the pot has been on my to-do list for a long time. I really want to do it. You can see it has very simple colors. I want to make that. But at my not-so-local needle workshop, I found, to my great delight, that they had tons of these. It is no longer NP designs. They are now being published by Southwest Decoratives, but it is the same designer. They had the turtle design too. Notice how it says Pueblo Pottery number 2. They have loads of these. Loads of these. And these images from the Navajo Southwest Designs number 3. Loads of them. Oh, I'm in love. I'm in love. So I got, at the same time I was getting threads for those Scarlet Quince kits, I got some of the colors needed for those pots. Pots and carousel horses and enormous Scarlet Quince patterns and the things I showed you before, getting progressively more kitted up as I purchase fabric for them. And Amazon. They have their own website too. I could have gone directly there. I got it through Amazon or graphics. I love giraffes. If I mentioned I love giraffes, I don't think I ever told you that. Little kit. Charming. I want to do that. I think I have a problem. I showed you I did a little bit of back stitching and a little bit of this. And I'm going to show you some others, I promise. But there's not much there. That's what worries me. Yeah, that worries me a bit. That one's for the Lesbo Cave. Something else to show you. There's more stitchy stuff. Dang it. I went to our local art festival this weekend. Sorry, I hope I wasn't banging the microphone and I can see I'm jiggling the table. Beg your pardon. And one of the things I love is irises. I've told you I love birds. I love irises too. Our local art festival is not very good anymore. It was terrible when we moved here 40-some years ago. Actually, this is their 36th anniversary, so we've been there kind of from the beginning. At least I think they said 36. It worked its way up to a really good show, and at about the time it started getting really good, they began accepting all kinds of things that weren't art, and it's been going downhill ever since. I mean, ask the artists themselves, the best ones don't come anymore. And even yesterday when I was there, I heard one of them telling a customer that, the organization putting artists in booths right next to people selling sugared almonds and body lotions and things, that is not an art festival. I mean, it's fine if you want to buy those things, but the people who come to buy original art are not the same consumer that's buying this other stuff, these foods and lotions and potions and candles and whatever. It's not the same thing at all. Anyway, I went there and I made a purchase. I made a couple of purchases, but I want you to know that I have some kits of one of my favorite flowers. This is not from the art festival. This is something I already have. You can see this beautiful RTO kit, irises. This is on top of everything else I already showed you, by the way. And this crinkle, this lovely Orenco design that I plan to get to if I ever finish my white rabbit with its flosses. Orenco, from a Japanese artist's design. And a Riolis kit. I will find it. Give me a moment. Irises, bell pull, beautiful. Need to do that. And even needlepoint. I have something to say about artiste when I show you my finish. Obviously I like irises. So I went to the art festival yesterday. It's not much of an art festival anymore, and they actually had more photographers there than they've had in years. There were at least half a dozen photographers. So I just want you to know my problems don't extend only to cross stitch. All that stash, all that going on. So this photographer had beautiful photographs, the majority of which were flowers, and they could tell you everywhere they ever took a flower photograph. Of the ones I looked at, they said, well, this one came from, these folks were from, try to give them some credit if I can find their card. Nope, I've lost their card. I think it'll be on the back of one of these. Here we go. These folks were from Phoenix, Arizona. Pat Kelly was the photographer. His wife was running the booth with him. And they would tell you, well, this was photographed in California at this particular festival, and this was photographed at the Tucson Botanical Garden, and this was photographed in the garden of this really sweet old lady who's 70 whatever years old, and they knew where everything was ever taken. And bear with me, there's 12 of them. And yes, there's glare. I had all those irises to stitch. I just showed you all those irises to stitch. But I bought this card. I won't mail them as cards. I want to frame them. And this one. And this one. Which has been cropped to fit the format, but they also had it in a square stand-up frame design that I almost got. But I decided to stick with the photograph. And this one. Why do I need all these if I already have irises to stitch? Maybe because I haven't stitched my irises yet. Do you think that has something to do with it? Do you think that... Oh, I'm drawing a blank on her name, who loves pansies. She has so many pansy cross stitches. Do you think that she has a house full of pansies in addition to all her cross stitch pansies? Kay's cross stitch, I think. Or does she stick with stitching them? Does she go out and buy a dozen photographs of something when she already has kits that she can make? I love this. I love art. I want to show you a few other things I've gotten at this festival over the years to show you why I complain that they don't have real art anymore. This is the first time I've bought this much in a long time, because they actually had real photographers. Sorry if you don't like irises, because I love these. They're beautiful. They're absolutely stunning. All different. I wanted to get a triptych frame to put some of them in together. And the one I wanted to get won't really fit them. And plus, they've changed the design so that it's now plastic. I need a wood frame. I had a triptych for my trilobites before. That's sort of what I had in mind for these. But no, I'm not going to spend money on a plastic frame that you can't do anything with. These are just so gorgeous. And the man had so many flowers. So many flowers. I just bought just about every iris I could find. And of course he had big prints and framed things and everything. They weren't all little cards like this, but I could afford the cards. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. So the reason I object to the art festival not having so much art anymore isn't just that you can't find beautiful photographs, but I have found so many wonderful, wonderful things over the years. And this does relate to my problem. Obviously I've spent far too much on cross-stitch, considering how much I get done. That's where the problem is. I'm going to show you my other finishes in a moment, my starts. But I want to show you a sampling of some of the things I've gotten at that art festival over the years. So for example, there's a sculptor who used to come every year for a while. He doesn't come now, and he had everything from huge yard-size sculptures to little table sculptures. And he made all of his things out of old tools and barrels and stuff. Look at that. I've got several of his pieces. This is just one peculiar little object. I've got yard-size one. I've got a lot of little house ones that are just unimaginably strange. I got these all over the house. This lady has stopped her work now. She was from Tempe, Arizona. She's no longer working with the flowers. She told me the last year that she was done because it was just too much work for her. But she did such beautiful art. I have bookmarks. I have framed art. I have huge pieces. This is kind of a medium one. I've got so much of her stuff. Smaller, bigger. She was amazing. I loved her art. They had lots of different potters and basket makers and everything you can imagine. Everything you can imagine. This one, I saw it at the art festival and it was damaged, and I pointed it out to the artist that I would be interested if it did not have the crack in it, and they told me they were going to another art festival in a neighboring county soon after, so I went there. I'm wondering if I've got her card. It's alright, just checking. I want to give the artist some credit. She actually stitched it up, and so I went to the neighboring county to that fair and purchased it. And it's beautiful. Beautiful. Love it. And though it wasn't cheap. But that's what I was saying. If you're there to buy emu oil or audio tapes of somebody's native flute or hand creams and chili peppers and things like that, you're not the same consumer that's going to buy art. And I wouldn't mind, but this festival is sponsored by an art association. This is one I got at a discount because it had some flaws. It's a bowl. The maker has marked it, but I don't have a card for it. Just as I have lots of those flowers and things all over the house, in many cases I have more than one of these kinds of things. I have this artist, a couple of pieces of stained glass. I like arts festivals, folks. I like art. I like things people make with their hands, but I like it to be an aesthetic thing that they make with their hands. I'm not saying that it isn't hard work to make lotions and creams and whatnot. If any of you do that, fine. I don't object to the jewelry. I don't ever buy the jewelry or almost never look at it, but that's fine. I'm fine with them having that. The quilters, I hardly ever look at that, but I like the quilting. The clothes makers, those are all fine. They have wood carvers, sculptors, those are all art. It's the amount of stuff that isn't art anymore that they have there that bothers me. There was a painter that I adored. Get to him in a moment. Oh goodness, this is dusty. They had some with what they called Schnitten, I think it is. I have several different ones. This was an Asian artist. Paper cutting. They had an artist I absolutely loved. And just about the time I got to where I could begin to afford his original art, which this isn't. Original watercolor on silk. This isn't. This is a print. But his name was Tai Poon, and they stopped letting him into their festival because they were juried and decided he wasn't good enough, and he was amazing. His paintings on silk were amazing. I'm happy that I got some of his prints. He had some marked on clearance that are much more colorful, plus this bird. Astounding art. So I have a wall full of his prints. That's what I would like to see. That's what I would like them to sell. And then one more piece. No, two more. Sorry. I've been there for years. I told you this is like their 36th one. I have a bunch of Christmas ornaments by this artist. He had a way of firing with some kind of chemicals that would cause this patterning. I think you can see it there. And he would make ornaments and things. I had another beautiful potter's candle stand that broke, unfortunately, so I don't have that anymore. I like that. I have things from other festivals too. I don't want to, by any means, imply that this is all the art in my home, but this is the closest festival to me. Here's something I got there. These are all real art from that festival. These are why I don't like them taking over booths. I swear they had fewer booths this year than ever, too. These are not all from this year, by the way. I'm not that ill. When I said I have a problem, I don't mean I have that much problem. These are accumulated over years. And this artist, I forget what my sister told me these are called, but they're printed canvases. I think she said Clay or something like that. Trying to see the kitty. Reminds me of my kitties. This same artist did, and I think I did show you these ones. I don't know what makes me think I showed them to you or why I would have showed them to you, but she was working on a book about beetles. Astounding photography. This is her. Brummerman, her name was. Obviously I need frames for those. That's a sampling of what I've gotten at that festival over the years, and I love them, but obviously cross-stitch is not my only vice. I told you I have impulse spending issues. Sorry, I think I just thumped the microphone. So, do I have a problem? Yeah, I think I have a problem. I have some more things to show you too. I told you I had a couple of new starts and a finish. Let me show you my finish first, and I have some remarks on that if I haven't lost. One moment. Sorry, I needed to find this. It goes with it. This was an artiste kit called Bless the Beasts, and it was about half done the last time I showed it to you, and I have finished it now. I can tell the colors are very washed out again today. This is just not the best place to film, but it's the most convenient for me. And that is all done now. Just a little piece. I need to find it a frame. But I wanted to mention about artiste that, and I know it sounds like I've changed the subject again, haven't I? I showed you all those art festival things because I wanted you to understand that I don't overindulge only in cross-stitch. But this kit for some reason came with 2 yards of this red, or 2 lengths of this red. I'm not sure if they were full yards or if they were already in 18-inch cuts. I can't remember. But 2 lengths of that, and it only goes on this bird and a little bit in his beak, his breast, his beak. 2 full cuts. Okay, the last artiste kit I did, you may not remember, it was a robin, and they packed a wrong color in it, so I had to find another color to substitute. And the floss can be really terrible and come apart when it shouldn't, particularly if you're trying to unpick it at all. You don't want to unpick this stuff. It destroys itself. But this kit gave 2 lengths of the red and 1 of this shade of yellow. This yellow that goes all the way down behind the elephant and across the bottom and up the other side and all the way over and across the top. That dark yellow color, 1 length. As soon as I unpacked the kit, I knew that was stupid. I mean, that was all they provided. That's all they said they provided. I knew it wouldn't last. I did my best. I conserved as best I could. There is an exact DMC match for it. If you ever get this kit, you have a problem. It's 3822. Perfect match. You might not be able to tell in the light, but it is. And I actually did have to put that here between the elephant's legs. I managed to stretch that 1 length to every other bit, but not there. So can you tell me why they would pack 1 length of something that needs to cover that much area and 2 lengths for the bird breast? That makes no sense. Anyway, there's my finish from artiste. So I did do half of a small piece. I did that little bit on the heartstring sampler. I did that little bit of backstitch I showed you. I did half of this. Let me show you my 2 new starts. One of them, I had to go to the upholsterer the other day to try to pick up something that he's been owing us forever. It's a couch cover. And he had to do some adjustments on it, and he said it would take an hour. So I brought something with me just to start and do. Is this little Janlin kit, because I thought that's something you can carry in the car and sit in the seat and do while you're waiting for him to finish the upholstery. And that's how much of it I have done. Tiny little thing. They say it's 3 inches by 4 inches. The kit is, the frame is, whatever. I can tell you I don't care for this fabric much. It's very bulky. It's not that it's stiff. It's not like MCG. It's not unusable like that garbage. But very thick, very bulky. Sort of awkward to work with. But he's coming along. Tiny thing. So I had half of that little finish. I have him, and I have another start, which I'm about to show you. But balance them out. And I keep jiggling you. I'm so sorry. Between, over the summer, those patterns I showed you, the pots and the Navajo designs, the plants that I bought the linen for, the kits that I told you I wanted to do with the unicorn and the pear tree, all those iris things I already have, the carousel horses that I purchased, the scarlet quince patterns that I put together, the giraffe, the things I showed you before, the circles of the sea and the secret garden, all of that. And I've done this, half of this, a little bit of backstitch, and a little bit of this. I'll come back to that in a minute. Do I have a problem? I have more cross stitch than I can do in a lifetime, but I can't stop buying it. I can't stop dreaming of doing it. This is, of course, why my name is Dreamingstitcher, but I can't stop thinking about it. I want to make it. I want to make it all. There was one more new start, and this one also had a rusty needle in it. This is another eBay kit from 1985. It's from a series called Take-Alongs by Monarch Horizons, the pintails. And the fabric on this is so soft and lovely compared to that little snow person. So soft and lovely. Unfortunately, it was packaged up for so many years that I haven't been able to get these creases out of it yet. I ironed it before I started, and I think I'm going to have to soak it pretty thoroughly because those creases are really deep. And there's the rust from the iron that was with the needle that was in it. So they're coming along. That's my start. Another small piece. Now, I did some over the summer. Not everything I showed you was acquired in the space of time that I did this little bit of work. But an awful lot of it was. I mean, if you just compare the time frames, I don't know. I want to stitch all of it, but it seems to me there's something really wrong with someone who acquires that much cross-stitch stuff, or art stuff, or any stuff. Have I mentioned I have more than 3,000 books in my home? I think I told you that. Yeah, I think I do have a problem. And I don't know what to do about it. So I did go to... I have something else to show you, by the way, if you'll hang in there for a minute. It has to do with taste in cross-stitch and mirabilias. But I want to go off on a tangent for a minute here, or two. I did try to find a therapist when I was diagnosed with a depression and didn't want to go on medications. I looked for a therapist, and my doctor gave me 3 names. The first one did not take my insurer, and I can't afford it without the insurance. Second one was not taking patients, and the third one was worthless. Completely worthless. I've looked into my issues, things like impulse control disorders and the hoarding tendencies and so on. By the way, one reason I don't think I'm a full-blown hoarder is it's not like those people on the shows. I'm not buried in trash. It takes me a while to get around to cleaning things up, but I can get rid of actual garbage usually. But I can find things. You know, the stuff I wanted to show you today, I was able to find it. And if things are a little too messy to find it, I still know where I saw it last, and I locate it. I think real hoarders get to the point, I do have hoarding tendencies, get to the point where they can't locate things anymore. I can find things, but anyway, I digress. I read that cognitive behavioral therapy was one of the only things that really works for that. And so I went to this one therapist that actually would take my insurance. And I had 2 sessions with her. And the first one was completely worthless. I thought, I'll tell her all my problems and she'll tell me what I need to do, what steps we're taking going forward or anything. She offered nothing. So I said, well, how do we approach this? What can you offer me? I told her that I have these medical issues and that because my head is not in the right place right now, everything I'd achieved and all the weight loss and everything was going backwards, the stress. Once my parent went to the hospital, all of that good progress went aside. I've gained back about half of the weight that I lost, not quite, and I'm doing terrible things for my diet that shouldn't be happening. You can't turn to chocolate to solve your problems. It's not a healthy coping mechanism, and I need to overcome the stress and the concerns and all of that and get my head in the right place. And she said, well, we can, maybe look into some diets. I was like, stop, time out. Don't you listen? I know how to diet. I know how to lose the weight. I know exactly what I need to do. I did it over the course of a year. I lost about 60 pounds. The problem is my head is not in the right place. I don't need advice on how to lose weight. I need to be mentally where I have to be to lose the weight and to take care of myself and to eat right. I haven't completely backslid, by the way. But, she didn't get that. And as far as the other issues, the other coping strategies, turning to things like the buying all this cross-stitch, all this art, all these books, the things that I want to be doing but can't because of obstacles like my job that stop me from doing what I want to do. And I think that's why I reach out and buy. When I read the things I read online about stuff like compulsive buying, they're worthless to me. They say people spend the money for social status or to look good to their friends or whatever. It's like, no. I don't care about any of that crap. I don't care what other people think of how I dress. I don't care what I drive. I don't care that I don't buy designer anything. So that is not where my shopping comes from. My shopping comes from a need to make this beautiful thing, a need to have this beautiful thing, a need to know that that book will be on the shelf when I find the time to read it. I can't find the time to read it, so I go out and buy another book. I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. But anyway, my mind is not in the right place there. I need different coping strategies for my stress. And she said, well, we can try to find, I don't remember how she phrased it, but basically strengthening my social networks or something, finding some people I could talk to. It's like, stop. Time out again. I'm an introvert. I don't have friends. I have like 2 close friends. I read an article about introverts once, and they said an introvert, you could fit their friends in a phone booth, but they're really close friends. That's how it is. I have a couple, and one of them lives far away, and the other one works nights, so they're not exactly there to talk too much. And I have my sister, when she's not the one I need to vent about. Sorry, I love her dearly, but sometimes she's the one I need to vent about, as you know. But there is nobody else. I've worked at the same job for more than 2 decades, and I have no friends there. I have acquaintances. They're very nice people. They're very nice people. They're my acquaintances. They're not friends. There is no friend to go talk to. This lady didn't seem to understand that. That is not going to change overnight. I'm not going to suddenly start spilling my guts to strangers like you all out there in flosstube land, because you don't really know me. You can't really talk to me. You can listen. That's about all. Maybe you can make some comments that are helpful. But she was clueless, and she offered me nothing else but that the first session. So I thought, okay, this was such a waste of time. I'll go back to another one, but I'm setting an amount of money in my head because there are copays. That is my limit for the number of times I can visit her. I got physical therapy all summer. My physical therapy was awesome. My shoulder works great now. It's not 100% better. I can't reach behind my back, but it's so much improved. From her, nothing. What a waste of time. So I went to the second session, and I said, what are you going to offer me? Some coping strategies here. What are we going to do to help me deal with all these issues? One of which, like I said, is maybe medically induced. Depression. Oh yeah. Go talk to your friends. That helps everybody get over depression, right? Isn't that how we solve depression? That's why nobody in the world is ever depressed, because they all have friends. Nobody with a friend ever has depression, right? I'm being sarcastic. I hope you can tell. It's like, lady, is that your way of dealing with depression? Is tell me to go talk to somebody? Isn't that what you're here for? Anyway, so I asked her for some strategies, and she said, well, last time we talked about thus and such. I said, no, we didn't. You didn't bring that up. Oh, I didn't? She didn't even make notes of what she had said to me. She didn't talk about any of that. So I sort of dragged out of her a number of strategies, things like visualization and not dwelling on negative thoughts, and I don't know, a bunch of really fuzzy stuff that I could have got from buying a self-help book off the shelf. Okay? And she didn't see any need for me to come back to see her again unless I really felt I had to. And it's like, good, because this was worthless, lady. Worthless. So I have a problem. I have multiple problems. I have a very stressful job. I have a very stressful life at the moment because of dealing with losing parents and all of that. I have internal mental issues with impulse control. I have depression diagnosed by the doctor. Mild. He said depression, mild. Thank you that it's not worse. And there's nobody to turn to for help. And stitching might help, but anyway, I'm just frustrated. So, yeah, the answer to my own question is I have a problem, but I'm working on it. Am I insane to be buying all this stitching stuff? I see you all do it too. Are we all delusional? Are we all in a place where we're not facing the reality that we know? I know we aren't all. Some of you don't buy this. But I mean those of us who go over the top and keep adding to our stash. Is there something really wrong with us, or is it okay? I love all this art. Is it okay to buy a chart just to say, even if I never stitch it, I love looking at how beautiful that is? Is that okay? Because I have bought some charts sometimes, or books, that I thought, well, I'll never get around like Jane Netley Mayhew. I'll never get all these stitched. Oh, some of her more recent books especially are so gorgeous. I'll never get to stitch all that. Is it wrong to want the books anyway so that I can look at the stitching? I don't know. decided I wanted to show you something else that had to do with this and with taste in cross stitch. We all have different taste. I was looking at your videos of the flosstube retreat, and I was very jealous except for one thing. Well, jealous isn't the right word, but I don't handle noise well, and that conference room was too loud. I could not have handled that. So many nice people, so wonderful. It would have been such an enjoyable session. I'd have been walking out of the room every so often just to get away from the noise. I'd have had to run up to my hotel room where it was quiet because I noticed the halls weren't any more quiet, and I'd have missed half the retreat because I couldn't have sat in the room. But it looked so fun. It looked awesome. Anyway, I noticed that a lot of the designs and things, just as I've seen before, are not to my taste. This is unusual that I'm actually doing something on linen that's a sampler. I was saying, or sampler style. I was saying that I don't like linen as much because the counting is too hard. I want to do this flower. If this was on Aida cloth, I could count right up to the flower and he'd be done. But because it's linen and I can't count well across all these tiny holes, I'm going to have to do the grass stems first to give me a reference point. The leaves, I guess they're not grass, the leaves, to give me a reference point so that I can stitch the red flower. And I wanted to stitch it already, but I can't. I have to get close enough to things to have my reference point. That's why I don't like linen, because I can't just count where I want to be and do what I want to do. For the most part, you've already figured out I don't really like a lot of the samplers. I'm not looking for fancy dyed fabrics. Some of yours are amazing. They are so perfect for the pieces they're on. Others I don't feel the same way about. Let's just leave it at that. I think they conflict with your stitching, but we won't go there. Some of your choices are amazing and beautiful. I mean, you floss tubers out there. I'm not really looking for that. I don't have anywhere to get it. I guess my not-so-local needle workshop might have some. I'm okay with this. I mean, I'm stitching this on trashy apparel linen. Okay? I'm happy. It makes me happy to make it. We all have different tastes. And one of the things that you have a taste for example, is mirabilias. And I said in the little video that was a tribute to my parents that my mom would have loved that. I don't generally stitch figures, and I don't stitch pretty ladies in pretty dresses. It's not that those aren't nice. It's that I deal with that in a totally different way. I did have a great interest in that sort of thing when I was younger. How much younger? Well, like junior high and latest high school. So how did I deal with it? I made paper dolls. I want to show you some paper dolls. This is my version of mirabilias. We had a bunch of different dolls, my sister and I. This is one of them, not very exciting. And some of my sister made the best clothes. I just grabbed a handful this morning. Yeah, I told you I'm not a hoarder. I can find things when I go looking for them. My sister did these two dresses. Okay, this is for you folks that love to dress your folks up. You know, your Belle and Cinderella cross-stitch dresses and things. Just picture them like this. Pretend there's people inside. My sister did these two, because she's much better at it than I am. And then my pale attempt to imitate her way back when. I have tons and tons and tons of dresses, but these are some that are similar to that. Two different dolls, that's why they're facing different ways. That was my effort to make something like my sister's. Some of them were very much of their time. That's why I brought this one, so you can see that is not a fashion that anybody would wear now. But I thought it was cute. This was for a different doll, but I liked the way I colored it because it looked like it was velour to me. Velour was really big then. All those stripes. Velour. Okay. I think that's the right word. But this one was one of my favorites, and this is why I know I did it as late as high school, because when I was a sophomore in a class I took, they had a poster on the wall of 16th century dresses. And this was my attempt from memory to make one that looked a little bit like that dress on the wall. So yeah, I do like pretty ladies in dresses, but I got that out of my system with paper dolls. And when I got too old to be making my own paper dolls, you know, the coloring craze and all of that, well, I have paper dolls that you can cut out and dress up. I think this one belongs to the other doll. I think the dresses are interchangeable. Paper dolls to color. This one Looks sort of like, she makes me think of Joan of Arc, but it was from a book called Notorious Women, paper dolls. And you can dress her up like that. And they had them from all over the world, so I was working on this one. Now you can get so many better colors. I was trying to come up with different shades of pink, because somehow I thought her outfit ought to be pink. Anyway, there's more fancy dresses. I've got books and books of these. How do you like that, Mirabilia lovers? It's not stitched, but we all have different tastes, and some of them, Ginger Gerald Stitcher was talking about a giveaway, and he said that he didn't know if he'd include any patterns because his tastes were atypical. I love everything he has stitched. His Henry VIII, his planets, his buildings, they're all gorgeous. Yeah, I'm more likely to stitch architecture than pretty ladies. Not because I don't like pretty ladies. We just all have different tastes and things, and it's fascinating to see what everybody does. I think it was Sammy J from the retreat was talking about her roommate doing Cinderella's dress and bringing that to show off at the retreat, and how just stitching a dress had never appealed to her, but it's so gorgeous to see it in person that it would enable you. Or maybe it was the other one she was talking about, Brittany. I'm sorry, I don't remember which one did the dress. But yes, seeing these things in person can change our minds, and we can have an interest where we didn't know we had one before. Maybe some of you don't like to stitch the flowers and things that I like. You can see I obviously like them not just as flowers, but in all their forms. Actually, I don't think I've shown you any of the flowers that I've stitched. But birds and stuff. I showed you the stained glass bird. We all have different tastes, and it's kind of interesting. I love to go to flosstube and see all that different stuff. I don't know what to say about it. So this video has rambled all over the place. I had initially just wanted to show you what I'd been stitching. This is this and this, or what I made the most progress on. And show you some of my acquisitions. I think people were unhappy that I didn't show what I'd actually kitted up the last time with the Scarlet Quince patterns, but until I had all the floss, and I am still about 3 colors short, it didn't seem worth showing to you. But I've showed you so many kits and patterns and things that I want to do. And I wanted to show you some of the things from the art festival, because that was yesterday, and I wanted to talk about the importance of art and of buying from our artists and supporting our artists. And these are not all original art. Obviously the pressed flowers and the little metal sculptures and the pottery are. Most of the two-dimensional art is prints, whether it's giclée or other kinds of prints, photographs, because I can't afford the originals. I would not be able to afford the originals. Well, except for things like this. 3-dimensional art, yes, you don't have much choice. I just love those rabbits. But yeah, support the arts, support artists. Do what you can, not just for cross-stitch. I don't know if I really had any organization or point. The question of did I have a problem? I do. I know it. I didn't need to ask you. If you have any solutions, offer them. Tell me if you think it's wrong to collect all that stuff. Is it a waste of resources? Is it a bad way to use the planet to acquire a lot of stitching that you may never get to? I really want to do it all. And by the way, it'll be at least 20 more months before I would even be able to retire from my job and start living on a fixed income. So I really need to stop spending so much money so I can get ready for those days when I get there. Some people say that don't wish for retirement because you'll want something to do. Everything I want to do is here. My books are here. My stitching is here. Sitting and watching sunsets, that's here. Everything I want to do is here. It's not because I don't work with good people, or it's not an important job or a valuable job. It's all of those things. It's just not me. So then I tell myself, maybe when you do retire, you'll stop buying because you'll be able to start stitching what you've got. And maybe you'll get more done in a year. And by that time, maybe parents, estate, and everything will all be settled. And maybe you'll be over the depression. Because, yeah, it's not fair to complain that I haven't got a lot of stitching done when I can hardly do anything, when I can't get out of the chair in the evening. Anyway, I hadn't seen you for a while. I thought I should stop in and give you an update, and you may regret that you ever tuned in. My apologies. Thank you for all your floss tubes that you put out there. Thank you for showing us the retreat. Thank you for all the wonderful stuff you show. Thank you for the kind comments on the video that related to my parents. It really is deeply appreciated. And I'm sorry that this went on a bit long for some of you. I hope everybody saw something interesting, and if nothing else, maybe my babbling gave you something to stitch by. And speaking of which, I enjoyed the video by Sporty Stitcher, and she hasn't put any more up for a while, where she was stitching out in a beautiful green field working on her project with flowers. I think it was a flowered hat, and the crows were trying to kill each other in the background. Was that the one? No, it was just noisy birds. Someone else had crows trying to kill them. That was called murder. But she did have some birds making noise in the woods nearby her. Anyway, I miss some of you. I wish you would put up more videos. I enjoy watching them all. Thank you for posting, all of you who do. I really like your work. Oh, one more thing. Completely unrelated. Don't expect me to participate in any giveaways, because I had a very sad disappointment towards the end of the summer. Someone who hasn't posted in a long time put up a video, and I watched it right away because she was in my subscription list and I'd enjoyed her other one so well. And she was giving away some old charts, among them Macintosh Mill. Oh, I paused the video immediately and asked to be in the giveaway. And I think I won. I think I did, because she contacted me and said, send me your email address, send me your information. I tried over and over again. I private messaged her at least 3 times through YouTube. She finally said, okay, send it to me through Facebook. And I had to respond, I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not in anything. And I thought I understood the private messaging system. You go to the Creator Studio. That's what I thought. You go there and you go to Community and you go to comments. And apparently she never got them. And that was, like I said, that was the summer. So obviously she gave up and sent it to somebody else. Not that I don't have enough to stitch. You can see I have enough to stitch, but I've wanted that one ever since I saw Pyrex Stitches working on it. It's so beautiful. So I'm just not going to do any giveaways anymore, because obviously I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to respond to people. I sent her my name and address no less than 3 times. Yeah, and I keep jiggling you around. I'm sorry. It's going to be unwatchable. It's too long, and I don't have time to redo it again because I have to go back to work tomorrow. So thank you for watching. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for all you put up and post for us. I enjoy it. Thank you for all those who went to the retreat and shared their experiences with us. Thank you to everybody who couldn't go and still posts wonderful things for us to watch. Thank you to my subscribers. Thank you for everybody having so many different and diverse tastes in cross-stitch for us to look at and enjoy. Yeah, I don't know how to say thanks in more ways than that, but you are appreciated. And thank you for watching this whole thing if you sat through it. I don't know when I'll be back again, when I have more stitching to show, when I have something that I feel is worth sharing with you. I'll be back. And I'll try not to throw in all this other extra stuff. I hope you at least liked some of those things. I mean, they were pretty. I'll grab a random iris for you. Okay. Thank you. And I'll talk to you again next time. Bye.